I start the recording now. The recording began a little bit late. Here was the first slide. You deserve more revenue. That is where we begin. You deserve more revenue because you help people so much. Further to that, your market deserves to benefit from your value more. And we kind of owe it to them. They deserve more of what we do because we help them so much. And so we're not picking up the phone to bother people or intrude or annoy or step on toes. We pick up the phone because we owe it to our customers and prospects to offer them our help. That is how to think about this. If you want to grow your business, you have to do what's on the screen right here. You need to be aware of your great value and behave accordingly. You need to know how good you are, and you need to conduct yourself accordingly. You need to sell accordingly. You need to explain your value accordingly. You need to communicate accordingly. You need to believe accordingly. And so you must be aware of your great value. How do we become aware of our great value? We become aware of our great value by asking our customers about it. That is the best way. I see some of you interacting already with some affirmations. Thank you, Leanne. Be aware of your great value by hearing it from your customers. We ask our customers about our value, and they will tell us about how good we are. And I will show you how to do this in this webinar. Now, growing business is very much a matter of beliefs. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. You're correct either way. Let me give you a few examples of how this applies to us. If you think that you can grow your business dramatically this year, you will. If you think that it'll be a slog and a challenge and you'll be trudging through mud and it'll be difficult, folks, you are right. If you think that when you call customers and prospects, you are offering them great value and you will help them tremendously and they're lucky to hear from you, not the other way around, not you're lucky they picked up the phone, but they are lucky to hear from you because you are so good. If you believe that, you would be correct, and you will behave yourself accordingly. If you believe you're intruding, imposing, bothering, annoying, stepping on toes, taking their time, you would also be correct. And do you think you would be successful thinking that? No, you wouldn't. So we have to believe the right things. Now, a lot of what I teach you today, in fact, probably darn near all of it, you already know. So how's that? Welcome to the webinar. You already know all of this. Thanks for coming. See you later. No, don't go. Stay. You already know what to do, folks. This is not rocket science. I didn't invent this stuff. This is not terribly difficult. It's quite easy. Many clients say to me, God, I can't believe how easy this is. They get annoyed. They get frustrated at how simple this stuff is because it is actually simple. The concepts are simple. You know what's hard? It's the doing. It's the discipline required. We're going to get to discipline in a second. Now, I know I'm moving quickly through this stuff because I want to get to the techniques. I'm going to slow down there. I want to get to the actions, to the things to do, because the point is to arm you with things to grow your business. So first, I need to lay the groundwork. I need to pour the foundation, and that's what we're doing here. So once again, everything we talk about today, you already know how to do. You already know that testimonials are a good way to grow business. You already know that referrals are one of the best ways to grow business. You know these things. You know that picking up the phone to call a customer proactively is a great way to grow business. The question is, do you do it? Do you do it? And the answer is most of the time, no. You know, I use the same slide with speech audiences. And 95% of the room says, no, we don't do these things enough. So if all of us did what we know we should do, none of us would be overweight. Nobody would have weight to lose. Everybody would have a perfect marriage. And we'd all have clean and neat and tidy spaces all through our home. But there's a difference between knowing what to do and doing it. You know what the difference is? Do you know the distance between knowing and doing? Folks, it's discipline. Discipline is the distance between knowing what to do and actually doing it. And so today we're going to talk about discipline a little bit and some other words and thinking about discipline. My book is called The Revenue Growth Habit, as you know, because I've learned that revenue growth is a habit. Revenue growth is a habit of thinking and also a habit of action. Habits are a funny thing. If we don't intentionally create our habits, let me move down here. If we don't intentionally create our habits will create themselves and control us. Either we build habits and control them, or they will simply build themselves and control us. And the bad habits kind of follow the path of least resistance. The bad habits are procrastination, are avoidance, are browsing the stupid internet, which means Facebook, and reading stupid Twitter. Those are bad habits, right? Time wasting is a habit. Good habits, the kinds that we're going to talk about today that build your business, well, those, we have to be intentional about those. And there's no better time to be intentional about our habits than on the second working day of the year, January 5th. That is the best time to be intentional about our habits. And I'm going to ask you to commit to creating some new habits for yourself to grow your sales and to grow your companies that you all work for. You've heard me say the word a few times already, intentionality. Revenue growth requires intentionality. So intentionality is sort of a mindful awareness that we are in control and we are doing the things that we wish to do, that we want to do, that are important to do. Without intentionality, we're kind of bouncing around reactively in the world. We're bouncing around from one reactive action to another. Customer calls, customer has a complaint, customer needs it yesterday, customer's customer is screaming at him. Well, we've got to put out the fire, don't we? We put it out, what happens next? Next fire comes. Better put it out or you'll burn your eyebrows off. Put out the next fire. What happens after that, folks? We already know. Fire after fire after fire, reaction after reaction after reaction by you, a reactive day, and then a reactive week, and then a reactive month, and then a reactive quarter. And before you know it, it's November, and you're thinking, what the hell just happened? Yes, you've serviced your customers. Yes, you've helped them when it was urgent and when it was on fire, but you did it all reactively. And what we need is intentional, proactive effort. That is how to grow sales. Sales might grow if you go through life reactively, but it'll be an accident. It'll be random, and we can't plan our lives around that. We can't expect it to happen again next year because it's random. It's just the way that you bounced like a pinball in a pinball machine, and it's the direction you happen to move into and they happen to grow. Next year, they might just as easily not happen to grow. So we must be intentional. We must create habits. We must take consistent, small, fast, easy, free actions to grow business. If we don't, business will not grow predictably. If we take fast, easy, simple actions regularly, and particularly as a group of people, you and your colleagues inside the business that you're in, then business will grow predictably. It won't have a choice. Perseverance is an interesting thing. Revenue growth requires it. You know, when people tell us no, which is almost always because we're in sales, right? 95% of the time people tell you no, maybe 90% if you're very good. When people tell us no, it never really means no. It only means not at this moment. And I have a slide on this later in the actions. It only means not at this moment, not right now, not today. Here's one of my favorite quotes in the world by Thomas Edison. Love this quote. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. How about that? They didn't know they were only half a step away. Another effort, another try, another step, and they quit. And success might have been in that next step that they didn't take. Love this. And Thomas Edison knows a little bit about failure, doesn't he? So, no doesn't mean no. It simply means not at this moment. So give people another moment. Give people another chance to say yes. We have to do that if we're going to grow business. That's not an option. Folks, I remind you, the questions box in your control panel is the place to go if you want to interact or ask questions. We now have 296 people on this webinar, possibly the biggest webinar I've ever done. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and I think this year I'm going to do a few. I think I'm going to do 3 or 4 this year. Now, people are still joining us. Up to 299 now, one more, and we'll be at 300. That'll make me happy. I play mind games with myself. So, it is workday number 2 of 2016. What do you want to accomplish this year? I'd like each of you to think about one thing. Let's make it professional. Let's make it a work thing that you would like to accomplish this year. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. It doesn't have to be a big, hairy, whatever they call it, goal, audacious. But it needs to be a goal. It needs to be a priority that maybe you've been thinking about doing, that I want you to commit to doing and accomplishing this year. And I'd like you to identify that thing. And if you write it down, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. In fact, it'd be a really good thing. Write down the thing that you want. Type it in, write it in, do what you want. Put it someplace that you put it. But write down your thing. We'll give you 10 seconds to do that. Next question. I like action. What will you do today to take a step towards that goal? What will you do today to take a step towards that goal? Like that. You wrote down one thing. Give me one action. Give me one movement. Give me one forward step towards that goal. Write it down, please. Okay? Keep that in front of you today, please. And do it. Remember, the amount of additional sales that you create this year are determined by the amount of action you will take of the items that we will talk about today. Actions that we discussed today, the more of them you do, the more your business will grow. The less of them you do, the less your business will grow. My work, I think most of you know, but my work is to grow the companies of my clients. When I work with companies, when I work with clients who are almost always 50 million and up, the sweet spot of which is 100 million to 250 million, they're almost always privately held. And when I work with my clients, I teach them these things, among many others. But this is what we talk about. And I've learned one thing over the years. The more that they implement, the more their business grows. The more of these things you will do, the more your company will grow. The more your personal sales will grow. The more money you will make. There are 3 revenue growth variables, and only 3. There are 3 things when it comes to growing business. And the 3 things are these. The customer that you're selling to, that's the who. The product or service that you're selling them, that's the what. That's the thing. That's your pipe or your lumber product or your label. I'm just thinking about the companies that are on the call. That's the product. It's also your accounting, it's your law, it's your consulting. And then the third thing is your communication. The third thing is, what do you tell the first about the second? And how do you communicate this? And you need all 3. You need the customer, the product or service, and then the communication to get revenue growth. You can't do it without all 3. And so today, we're mostly talking about the how, the communication. We'll talk a little bit about the who, which is your customers and prospects. The what I cannot help you with. The what, that's your expertise. That's what you're good at. If I studied your products and certain, my clients say, well, you're not an expert in our field. You don't know our industry. And I say to them, you don't want me to know your industry. If I studied your industry for 20 years, I would still know less about it than you know about it right now. What I know how to do is grow companies. And so we apply my processes for growing your company to your products and services, which you are an expert in. You don't need me to know those things. You need me to know this and this And that's what we do. So you need all three. And you already have really good products and services. We discussed that earlier. You have really, really good, helpful, useful, valuable, excellent products and services. So that's good. So I would encourage you to stop working on those a little bit. Most of you spend your times here. Most of you spend most of your time here on the product. And I would encourage you to spend a little less time here. Spend more time on who you're selling it to and how you're going to sell it and how you're going to communicate it. Because these two things don't get enough love and attention from you. These two things need more of you. This is where you spend most of your time. And it's already very, very good. People love it. If you ask them, they'll tell you. That's why your customers have been with you for 10 or 15 or 20 years. Because that is very good. So now let's work on this and this. That's what this webinar is about. Okay, a little bit on the who first, and then we will go heavy into the how. I checked the questions. Let's see here. Beth says, what if you have a senior team that cannot make a decision to move forward with the plan? Well, try to move forward with it individually. We overplan and we under-execute. And unfortunately, I'll just scroll down in my webinar because I'm flexible and I don't care. In revenue growth, quantity trumps quality. And so we must underplan and over-execute. Don't worry about perfecting the damn plan. And Beth, this is not just for you, this is for everybody. The plan is less valuable than the action. The action without a plan is more valuable than a great, great plan but no action, which is usually what happens. That's the common path. So don't worry about perfecting the plan. Get the plan in the ballpark and then move. I say this to my clients and they laugh, and some of them are hunters, so they particularly enjoy this. This is how to do this stuff, guys. Ready, fire, aim. That's it. Ready, fire, aim. Aim and adjust. If it works, keep doing it, double down. If it doesn't work, stop it. You might try to adjust it. If it still doesn't work, get rid of it, try something else. My book has 23 ways to grow your company in sales. 23 different approaches. I don't care which one you do. What do I care? You shouldn't care either. You should just try them until you find some that work. Now, this webinar, I didn't count how many things we're going to talk about today, but it has a bunch. Try some. We're going to talk about testimonials. We're going to talk about referrals. Try something. If it doesn't work, try to improve it. Try to change it. If it does work and you like it, double down on it. Do it again. Do more of it. And so, Beth, that should be the plan. Thank you for the question. It's a good one. The plan is do something, see if it works. If it does, do it more. If it doesn't, try to fix it. Or if it continues not to work, get rid of it. That's how to do that. Lots of questions coming. Megan says, so true. Leanne says, agree. Charlie says, Alex, is your book available in audio? Charlie, I don't know. I don't think it is. How do we encourage others to take action as well? Megan, by example. Encourage others to take action by your example and by showing them the great results your action has taken. Now, Megan, I think you're in sales or customer service. I can't remember. But take an action, ask for a referral, get one, blast it to everybody, and show that you got a new sale with a referral. Show your teammates and let them aspire to those results as well. Much of what we do is this kind of aspiration work within my clients' companies. We choreograph this kind of thing. Somebody has a success, we blast it to everybody because I want your peers to want that too. That's how this works. Thank you for the question. Bill, how long do you give one of these activities before you decide to move to another? Bill, it's all different. It's up to you. It's up to you, man. Try it a few times. If you get nothing, try to change it. Try to improve it. Like that. Okay, these are the three variables. We begin with the who, and then we dive deeply into the how. Folks, too many times among my clients, which again are privately held companies of a certain size, 50 million to 250 million typically, we sell a lot to existing customers. They sell a lot to existing customers, right? You sell a lot to current customers. When I ask a client of mine, what percentage of your sales go to an existing customer, why don't you type it in here? At your company, give me a ballpark. What percentage of existing sales are made to existing customers, current customers? So what percent of sales go to current customers? Give me a ballpark. Type in a number, and I won't name your name. I'll just read some of these numbers off. 80, 60, 90, 100, another 100, another 80, 80, 90, 60, 90, 90, 95, 70, 85, 80. Yeah, that's how much. Thanks. You can stop typing. That's how many. The problem is there's this whole world out here that also would benefit greatly from your value. Yes, it takes a little more work to get them. But the beauty is, once you convert a prospect to a customer, they become one of those 90% that you keep selling to over and over and over again. Since most of you are making repeat sales, judging from these percentages, here's a 98, a 97, this goes on and on. There's probably 100 replies. Thank you, guys. Once you convert a prospect into a customer, you're going to keep selling to them. The beauty of this work is, and get clear on this, the beauty of this work is most of you can sell to customers again and again. And they're going to eat the pizza, and then they're going to get hungry again, as one of my clients says. This is an annuity sale that you're making. It's not a one-off. So the value of converting a prospect to a customer is huge compared to selling a customer again, because you're just adding to that pool of repeat buyers. That's the beauty of this. So expand your focus is a better word. Expand your focus to the prospect. So this is what to do. Here's how this looks practically. I want you to make 2 lists. And you're not going to do this now, but soon. This week would be good. Make 2 lists. The first list is going to have your highest revenue potential customers on it up here. The second list is going to have your highest revenue potential prospects. And here's how I want you to break it down. First, I want you to make as inclusive as a list as you can for 2016, for the year. And this will take some time, and don't worry about finishing this list. Just get it decent. And by list, I mean literally just write down name and company, name and company, name and company. I don't need contact info. I don't need the fancy stuff. Just write down name and company. And so let's assume that one's going to have, some multiple tens or hundreds of people on each list. And I want specific names and companies to the extent that you can. Give me current customers, and then in the prospects area, you can give me past customers. You can give me people you've discussed doing business with. You can give me people that don't know who you are, right? But they're out there, and their company name. Maybe you don't even know the human's name, but they're out there. So put them on a list. And then what I want you to do is, using that list, make a smaller one of the highest priority people for the first quarter. And for January, and I put 100 customers and 100 prospects, but use your own numbers. Use numbers that make sense to you. Maybe yours is 25 and 25, or maybe it's 300 and 300. I don't know. But use whatever works for you. Then for January, take about a third of those and write them down for the month. And then for the first week, this week, that's why it's good to start now, give me 10 and 10, or 5 and 5, or whatever they are, and write them down with a pen or pencil, and keep them in front of you. And for today, give me, at the beginning of each day, give me your top 3 customers, highest revenue potential, and top 3 prospects. And I want you to use these lists for the following reason. It's very complicated. Ready? Make proactive contact with these people. Which is to say, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. I can't remember if I put the slide in here. I was almost, at the beginning of this, I was too embarrassed to put it in. But not today, but before I started talking about this, I said, I can't talk about picking up the phone, calling people. But if you really think about it, the proactive phone call, which used to be all we had, is damn near extinct. It's not in decline. It's essentially gone away. Think about how many proactive, not reactive, not customer calling saying, I need it now, let's go. Or you calling him back and says, listen, I'll have it to you tomorrow, I hope you're okay with that. But proactive calls that say, listen, Tom, how you doing? What's going on? What are you working on? Tell me about what's happening with your customers. How can I help you with that? That kind of call to a prospect and to customers. How many of those do you make? In a day, in a week, in a month? Create your lists, put the weekly one and the daily one in front of you, make them stickies and put them on your screen, make them stickies and put them on your dashboard if you're in the car, and call these people. For God's sake, let them hear from you. Everything I do in this work, in working with my clients, is to separate them and you from the competition, right? So the goal is to differentiate you from the competition. That's the purpose. I'm trying to uncommoditize you. It's amazing to say this, but picking up the phone and calling people will separate you from the competition. The proactive phone call will make you stand out from a terribly commoditized, frightened, and rather boring competition. Pick up the phone. See, we don't call because email is safer. We don't call because rejection by email is less painful. We don't call because we feel that email is less bothersome, less intrusive, right? We don't want to bother the prospect. So pick up the phone and call them, because remember, people deserve to benefit from your value, and you're that good, and they value you enough to stick around with you for 10 or 15 or 20 years. So why wouldn't you want to help more people more in that way? Pick up the phone. Stand out. So this list here, and this is a living, breathing document. This is something, particularly this one and this one. You can add names, you can remove names. This is your who, right? This is your first variable here. This is your who. This is who you're going to talk to. So now we have that. And now we're diving into the communication, the how. And the first thing is the phone call. Pick up the phone. Here's the second thing. Go back to everyone who said no to you last year and give them another opportunity to say yes. Make a list of these people. Maybe there's 3 of them. Maybe there's 300 of them. Make a list of them and go back to them. Oh, 305 attendees on the webinar. How cool is that? We've crossed the threshold. Again, I have to keep myself interested. I hope you guys don't mind. Go back to everybody who told you no last year and give them another opportunity to say yes. Listen, I know it didn't work out last year, but here it is, 2016, new year, new plans for you and for me. Just wanted to check in with you on that again. Or maybe you're working on something else that I can help you with. What's happening? Let's talk. People will appreciate that. Carrie says, do you have successful suggestions for a voicemail response that has provided a proven callback, or do you not leave a message and call again? No, I would leave a message, because even a voicemail stands out these days. How many voicemails do you get from people you don't know that are decent, that are good voicemails? Hey, Tom, listen, it's Alex Goldfayn. I hope you're doing well. Just calling to check in. We haven't talked in a while. I know we're doing business together. I'm on top of it. I'm watching how my team is serving you. I know my colleagues are working hard for you. I wanted you to know I'm on it personally. If you ever need anything, never hesitate to reach me. You think that guy gets a lot of calls like that? No, he doesn't. He's going to remember yours. He's going to remember yours. Doug says, I have a brand new division selling B2B. Historically, our customers are all B2C focused and not the targets for our new products. What steps would you recommend? If you're selling B2B, Doug, you just do this. Just do what we're talking about. Do what we're talking about on this webinar. Make your list of prospects, since you don't have any customers, and start doing the things we're talking about here. Make proactive, disciplined contact. That's what you should do. And if you want to discuss more offline, reach out to me. Go back to everybody who said no and give them another opportunity to say yes. Number 3, create a collection of your best customer stories from 2015. Or just give me one. And then you share it with everybody on this list. These are basically a modified case study. This is basically a great success you've had. Write it up. Give me a paragraph on it. Create a little PDF, right? Give me the logo of the business, a photo of the person, a photo of the product if you wish. Give me something. Give me a testimonial on it and distribute it far and wide. And say to people, let's talk about providing the same kind of value to you. I would want that as a customer of yours. I'd be interested in that. Robin says, how much time should you wait between calls? Give them a few days, then try again. But don't call 10 times. Call 2 or 3 times. Erica says, do those past customers make them some of the lowest hanging fruit? Yes, past customers are low hanging fruit. Absolutely. Because they've been with you. They know how good you are. They've left you. And when you call them and you say, listen, how's life without us? Because I've heard it's pretty terrible. That's how bold you have to be. I've heard from others that it's terrible without us. How are you experiencing it? Let's make it better for you again. Carrie, you're welcome. So you've got 3 things now. And I go back to the actions. The action is, what are you going to do? What are you going to implement? That's the important thing here, is doing this stuff. I know you get it. I know you understand it, because I know it's as simple as it can be. None of this is hard. None of this is complicated. Conceptually, right? It's the doing it that's the challenge, because you all are busy and you all are reacting throughout your days. And I need you to pull out of it for 5 or 10 minutes and give me 1 action per day to start. Next, number 4. What percentage would you guess that your customers, those 80 to 90% of your sales that go to your existing customers, and I'm going to ask you to type the number in, then I'll tell you what it is. So I'm looking for your guess as to the percentage of everything that you sell that your customers have a conscious awareness of. So if your entire catalog of products and or services is 100%, your typical customer is aware of what percentage? Consciously. Not what you told them a month ago, because they might not remember that anymore. But their conscious awareness of all of what they can buy from you is what percentage? Percentages, please. 25 to 30, 50, 30, 50, 25, 20, 50, 15, 40, 28, nice round number, 30, 50, somebody says 5%, 30, 35, and so on. Thank you. You can stop. The average is 20%. You guys are right there. The typical customer is only aware of 20% of all that you can do for them and help them with. 20%, which means it's physically impossible for them to buy the other 80% of what you do. Now, let's say not all of it applies. Let's only say half of it applies. It's physically impossible for them, so if only half of it applies, now you've got 20% that they know about and then 40% that they don't know about. That's 2/3. They can't buy 2/3 of what you sell. See? They would like to, because they love doing business with you. 90% of your business comes from them. They need it anyway, meaning they're buying it somewhere else. They're getting it somewhere else. They would like to buy it from you. You would like to sell it to them. But none of that is possible because they simply don't know. How's that? It's almost tragic, isn't it? It's money they want to pay you for stuff they want to buy, which is also stuff you want to sell them, but it can't happen because they don't know. See? That's how this works. The DYK question is the did you know question. Did you know we also sell X or Y or Z? Did you know that we make 12-foot lengths of lumber? Did you know that we have this kind of 6-inch diameter PVC pipe? Did you know that we offer a very specific kind of legal service? Did you know that we do this kind of consulting work? Did you know? My clients put this in their signature files. My clients put this into every email that goes out. My clients work this into every conversation that they have. Guess what the close rate is? Because we're just adding line items, right? We're just taking a line item and we're adding it to an existing order. Guess what the close rate is when they do it my way? And I'm about to show you my way. I'm about to show you how to close this. Well, let me show you first, and then we'll talk about the close rate. You have to pivot to the sale. So did you know that we also do 12-foot lengths of lumber? Well, no, I didn't. Well, don't walk away happy. You're not done yet. Pivot to the sale. Pivot to the close. Well, should I add some to this order, or do you want me to write it up separately? Give them two choices. Both of them are yes. You don't care which one they choose. Should I add it to this order, or should we write it up separately? Do you want to talk about that now, or should we schedule something for Tuesday? What do you like better? Pivot to the sale. Close the business. All of you are in sales. This is a webinar about growing sales. All of you are in sales. And somehow, some way, close the sale. Pivot to the sale. Let me tell you the percentage. 20% on average of all did you know questions are a yes. Which means if you ask 5 did you know questions a week, which is 1 a day, you'll add 1 additional line item per day. But if you ask 100 did you know questions in a week, and this can be individually or as a company, you will add 20 line items to your orders. This is what my clients report back to me. So if you want to grow your business, ask the did you know question as much as you can. As much as you can. Incredibly simple way to grow business. By the way, folks, are you noticing how much these techniques cost? Are these very expensive techniques? Do they require a large financial investment or any financial investment whatsoever? No, they don't. You know what they require? A little effort, a little intentionality, a little proactivity, a little discipline, a little habit, a little elbow grease. That's what they require. That's the work. The reverse did you know question is a little bit different. I think this is technique number 6. The reverse did you know question is, listen, what else are you buying elsewhere that I might be able to help you with? 1 PO is better than 2 POs. Why don't you give us a shot at it? I might be able to do it even better. I know you love working with us. Let me help you some more. It's the reverse did you know question. By the way, new technique didn't exist until about a month and a half ago. Came up with it in a client meeting. We came up with it together. What else are you buying elsewhere that I might be able to help you with? Well, we're getting, 12-inch lengths of lumber. Okay. We do that too. Why don't you let me help you with that? Why don't you give me a shot at that on the next order? And then you pivot to the sale. Would you like me to add it to this order that we're talking about here? And you shut up and you let them answer. Don't nervous chatter your way out of a sale. We're going to talk more about silence. So the did you know and the reverse did you know will grow your business tremendously this year. Tremendously. Next, I promised you testimonials and specifically what to do with them. And I also promised you referrals. And that's going to take us to the end. I've left it for last, and I wanted to make sure I left enough time, and I did. And we will be done by the top of the hour. All of you have happy customers because your 80% or 90% of all of your sales come from these customers. So we must obtain testimonials. We must get from their thinking and their feeling about doing business with us. We do not ask for testimonials by email because that's murder. We do not ask for testimonials even by using the word testimonial because that's stressful to people. People get stressed out. No, my God, I got to think of a testimonial. I'm busy. I don't have time. What the hell? I don't know. Am I even going to be allowed to? No, you don't use the word. What you do is you ask this incredibly valuable question up here. What are some of your favorite things about working with us? And they will tell you. And then you will get 3 big things and you start pulling the threads. You start asking follow-up questions like, how does that help you? How does working with us save you time? Do we make you more productive? And then you ask a lot of these questions. You ask a lot of how. You ask a lot of how and why. And that's interesting. Why did you say that? And if they say you save me time, you say, how much time? When they say, I don't know, you say, listen, ballpark it for me. What do you think? You plant your feet and you be confident in your value. Be aware of your great value. And then you behave accordingly boldly. And if you only learn one question here to get a good testimonial, it's this top question here, if I can only highlight it. There we are. What are some of your favorite things about working with us? That's the question. if the customer is a happy one, which is the only ones you should be asking for a testimonial, you should not ask for testimonials to angry customers, okay? People say to me, well, what if they're pissed? I say to them, don't ask them for a testimonial. Go to the happy ones. Don't ask the one that's screaming what they love about you. So obtain your testimonials. And this is like a 5-minute conversation. And in a 5-minute conversation, if you go through these questions, the script that's on the screen, and by the way, in the book, there are full scripts, and there's even a whole sample conversation that I lay out, and then I distill lessons from. If you want the full script, it's in the book. What's on the screen right now, really, you don't need much more. Okay. And by the way, if you've seen me speak, you've seen this role play. You've seen me pull somebody out of the audience, and then we interact with each other. So now you have testimonials. At the end of asking for a testimonial, you ask this very important question at the bottom. Is it okay with you if we use some of your comments in our materials? Not, can I blast your testimonial everywhere? Not, can I put it on my website so everybody can see it? But listen, thank you so much for the compliments. I really appreciate it. I'm grateful. Is it okay with you if we use some of your comments in our materials? 95% of people will say sure. They've just been singing your praises for 5 or 10 minutes. Why wouldn't they give you permission? They love you. So let's talk about using testimonials. I have here internally and externally. Let's start with internally. There's no slide, but I just wanted to mention it to you here. If you have good testimonials, share them with your staff, with your team. Get them to people. Because we're trying to marinate in positivity, because people aren't aware of how good they are and how valuably they're viewed. So use your testimonials by emailing them internally. Put them up on your walls. Most of my clients have testimonials up on their walls as a part of our project, because I want people to walk by them and look at them and say, holy cow, I'm good. People really love what we do here. And if you think about it, that's going to change their behavior, isn't it? Do you remember the early slide? Revenue growth is a matter of habits of thinking and habits of action. And if we put testimonials everywhere, where we marinate people in them, where they get it in their email, they see it in their office space, they have it on their desk, it's everywhere. It's in the cafeteria. They start to think differently. They create new habits of thinking. And in turn, I can get them to change their behavior, and you can get them to change their behavior. They'll behave differently. They'll behave more boldly, which is the goal. So share them internally. Further, share them externally. Here are 3 ways. Number 1, bring your testimonials, let's do it this way, to customer and prospect meetings. If you have a lot of testimonials, literally print a packet, print a book of testimonials, and hand them to the person you're meeting with. If you don't do in-person meetings and you work on the phone, you send it to them in one of 3 ways. The first one is by email. That's the least interesting one and the least effective one. The second way is by a priority mail in a $6 envelope. That's a much more interesting way. And the third way, if you really want to make an impression, you send it to them by FedEx. And you put a little handwritten note in there too. So use these during the meeting where you discuss a sale. Any meeting that shows a prospect or a customer the words of another happy customer will significantly increase your chances of closing that business. So that's way number 1. Way number 2 is send an email with a testimonial attached to it. This is the testimonial email. This is a wonderfully effective sales tool. Listen, we're working with a customer similar to you. This is what you write. And here's what they have to say about us. So the customer might be a president or a purchasing manager, or it might be a similar company in this company's industry, whatever. But we're working with somebody like you, and here's what they have to say about us. And then you paste the testimonial and you use the name, you use the company, you use the title, and then you write this. Let's talk about providing the same value for you. Now, what's better for you, Tuesday or Thursday? How about that? Lot of open doors here. This opens doors. You got to go and close the deal now. But this work opens opportunities that your sales work will close. So send emails like this. Do you know how long this email takes to write, especially since you already have the language? This email takes 45 seconds. Open an email, copy and paste the script, copy and paste the testimonial, send the email. That's 45 seconds maybe. And finally, paste your testimonials into quotes and proposals. The quote with a testimonial has a much higher chance of closing than the one without. The quote with the proposal with the testimonial has a much higher chance of closing than without. Paste them in. Mike says, I love the common sense, simple manner of growing revenue you remind us all of. Thank you, Mike. This stuff is incredibly common sense. This stuff is incredibly simple because I've stripped away anything that smells of complexity. Here's why I did that. I had to get rid of reasons that my client's staff will resist. Because if it's too hard, you won't do it. And if it feels like it takes a long time, you won't do it. And if you don't get it, you won't do it. So it's incredibly fast, it's incredibly easy, it's incredibly straightforward, and I want you to be embarrassed not to do it. I want you to feel ridiculous not doing this. Because it's this easy to grow business. The hard part is doing it. The hard part is the action. That's you guys. That's you getting off of this webinar and not doing another damn thing until you implement one of these techniques, and then you go to lunch. That's what this is. Don't let yourself off the hook. Keep yourself on the hook. And when you do it, reward yourself. That's what this is. No lunch until you do something. I don't care which thing you do. This kind of email will take you 45 seconds to send. Randy, so bold and so easy. We just have to do it. Amen, my brother. Just like that. You just got to do it. Let's talk about referrals. Then another word about action. I'll get you out of here. Referrals are an interesting thing. I teach it in every launch workshop that I do with clients. So we have a staff in the room, 70 people, 150 people, 20 people, whatever it is. Sometimes we do it with 1,000 different people in multiple workshops, in a series of workshops. And I teach referrals. Most people don't do it right away. It's a threatening one to do. What if they don't like me as much as I think? We know we should ask for referrals, but we don't. Let me show you how to do this. Listen, Randy, who else do you know that's similar to you that would also get a lot of value from working with me like you do? And I'm staying silent to make a point because you shut up and you listen to the answer. There's probably been an infinite number of referrals. I mean, millions of referrals, across the American business landscape that are lost to nervous chatter. So who do you know that's similar to you that would also get similar value to working with me? And you let them talk. You let them think about it, and you let them answer the question. And 90 seconds of silence is not too long. You must get comfortable with silence. Now, if they don't know, so here's this point. First ask, then stop talking and let them answer. I want you guys to practice this. We've got 4.5 minutes, but I'm going to stop for 15 seconds. And I want you to practice this question. Literally, think it in your head or just say it out loud. And if you're in a place where it'll be embarrassing, all the better. Who do you know is similar to you who would also get a lot of value in working with me like you do? And practice the silence. Practice the uncomfortable silence. I know it's going to be uncomfortable too. I know it is. But just look at the person and breathe and count if you have to silently, not out loud. That'll be weird. Count silently. And let the person answer the question. They're an adult. They love working with you. They're very happy. They love doing business with you. Ask them for a referral. Go. Practice. Next. If they don't give you one, if they can't think of one, if they say nobody comes to mind, you make another effort. Remember, perseverance. You make another effort and you help them. You help them answer the question. And you say, listen, we work with people like you, owners or heads of departments at manufacturing and distribution companies, or you might say at wineries. Whoever you want to put in here, help them with a specific kind of person or company that you work with. So we work with companies like yours, and typically the owner is my client. And when I do this, I lay out a revenue range. I'm looking for companies that are, say, 25, 50 million and up. And my typical client is 100 to 250 million. Who do you know like that? And at this point, so here's what happens. When you ask this question, and then you don't talk and listen to the answer, about a third of the people have a referral for you. 2/3 don't. The ones that don't, you follow up like this. Listen, here's who we work with. Who do you know like that? Another third magically think of a referral for you. That's 2/3. That's 666 success rate. You know what that is? Better than anybody in the Hall of Fame. You literally let them talk first. And if they say something that isn't a referral, you stay quiet. Don't answer it. Oh, gosh, I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Still don't talk. Well, I guess I'll have to consider it. Well, I guess I don't really know. Just stay quiet. If it's uncomfortable, that's okay. They're an adult. That's okay. It's not sleazy. It's not, you're not putting them in an awkward position. They love working with you. You help them tremendously. Be bold and help yourself and your family and your company. You deserve it. And that person they're going to refer to you, they deserve it too. Okay? Another minute on action and we're done. We skipped ahead to this, but here it is again. Folks, quantity trumps quality. I mean, we must have covered 10 or a dozen things today. I didn't keep track of them. I didn't count them. But quantity trumps quality. So the more you do, the more your business will grow. The less you do, the less sales will grow. The more that we communicate, the more that people hear from us, the more they buy. The less they hear from us, the less they buy. That's a rule of physical law. That's physics. It will never happen that they hear from us less and buy more. They must hear from us more in order to buy more. And so let them hear from us in these many ways that we talked about today. Underplan and over-execute. Ready, fire, aim. All we're doing is helping more people more. Want to grow your business? Help more people more. That's it. That's how easy this is. That's all we're doing. Folks, I don't care which of these things you do. Doesn't matter to me. As long as more people know about your value today than yesterday, your business will have no choice but to grow. Once again, the book is everywhere. So you can get it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You can go into the bookstore and buy it. It is the sales book of the year from last year. If you buy it and you review it, I will send you a digital book. I'll send you a PDF. So if you already have the book and you've read it, go to Amazon or somewhere else and write me a review. Tell me what you think, good or bad, but hopefully good. No, just kidding. Write me a review, email me the review, and I will then return to you a PDF version of the book that you can read on your iPad or wherever else you want to put it, okay? When you end the webinar, there will be I think I put 4, but it's actually a 3-question survey. It'll be 3 questions that pop up. That will help me. This didn't cost you guys anything. I'm doing this simply to help. I hope that all of your companies grow at least a little bit as a result of this work. I hope I've planted a seed with you that I hope will germinate and then sprout and grow. But there's going to be a 3-question survey, and that's your thank you to me. That is a chance for you to give me some feedback. And also, there's going to be 2 questions there. So there's 3 total questions. The first question is, what do you think of the webinar? How to go? It's going to pop up immediately. It's also going to be emailed to you. The second question is, what associations do you know, are you involved with, that would benefit from this kind of speech at their event? I grow my business many times by speaking in front of audiences of buyers who then, some of them work with me. So if you have a referral from me, that's how I formalize it. I'd be very grateful, and it would help me with my business. And the third question is going to be, would you like to discuss applying these concepts to your company? So do you want to talk about actually doing this with me at your company? So those are the 3 questions. If you fill out your survey, I will email you a list of the techniques from this webinar. Yes, it was recorded, but then you have to spend another hour watching it. I will email you in a written email the 10 or 12 specific techniques that we talked about here today. And you'll be able then to sit at your desk and pick one and fire the gun. Do not sit on the ammunition because gunpowder goes dry. Fire the bullets. Ladies and gentlemen, fire the bullets, take the action, communicate with your customers and prospects, let them see how you can help them, teach them how you can help them, and they will buy more from you. I wish you a prosperous, successful, and very healthy new year. All the best to you. Happy growing, happy selling. I'll talk to you soon. Happy New Year.